And hi everybody, I'm Dan Loney, and welcome to Around the Ancient Eight. Glad to have you with us today. We're going to be looking at the men's basketball slate for the games coming up this weekend, and joining us is Scott Cordischi, who is the Ivy League Digital Network correspondent for the Brown Bears. Scott, thanks very much for joining us today.
Dan, thank you for having me.
So when you're looking at the Bears so far, 8-6 their record, pretty good non-conference schedule. What's been the key for Brown and head coach Mike Martin getting off to this good start?
Well, I think when you look back to last year, Coach Martin came in and just made an immediate impact on this program. The team finished 7-7 in league play, which I think was much higher than expected given what they were coming off the season before. So really, he's built upon what he started a year ago. And needless to say, it all starts with Sean McGonigal, who leads the Ivy League in scoring. But it's just a team. Right now, it's a pretty good mix of upperclassmen, guys like McGonigal, Rafael Maya, Cedric Kwakamensa, and Dockery Walker. And then you add to the mix Mike Martin's first recruiting class, and there's some pretty talented freshmen in this bunch. So it's been a pretty nice mix so far. And you know, they've done a lot of this on defense, quite frankly. Their defense has been very, very good. They play good, solid man-to-man defense, and that's really why they've gotten off to the start that they have. You know, they were out to a 6-2 start, and they hit a little bit of a funk there. They lost 4 games in a row. A big reason for that, turnovers. They were having trouble taking care of the basketball. Now, they've since rectified that issue, and as a result have won a couple of games here as of late. But you know, things are looking up right now. I'm not sure people knew what to expect from Brown this year on the hardwood, and I think so far they've been a pleasant surprise.
Sean McGonigal is having another fine season for this team. What's really been his key to success?
He has just had a phenomenal career. Right now, as we speak, he's the 4th leading scorer in Brown basketball history. And if he stays on his current pace, averaging close to 20 per game, he has a chance to jump all the way up to 2nd all-time behind only Earl Hunt. Now, that'll take some doing, but he's just had a magnificent career. He came in immediately and started and played as a freshman. And you know, listen, people that follow Ivy League basketball probably remember this story. As a freshman, in practice, he was diving for a loose ball, and his head bounced off the knee of one player, and it landed on the knee of another, and it literally ripped open his face. He had to have reconstructive surgery, 39 stitches to reattach his lip to his gum. This was on a Wednesday afternoon in practice. Doctors said you shouldn't play for 4 weeks. Less than 48 hours later, he was back on the floor when the Bears hosted Columbia. He had a mask on. He scored 39 points to help Brown beat Columbia. That right there told me all I needed to know about this young man. He has been fabulous. He can score. He's a good assist man. He rebounds. He's just such a heady player. He's such a tough player. And what's been interesting about this year is for the first time in his career here at Brown, he's been moved off the ball a little bit. With the addition of freshman point guard Tavon Blackman, now Sean can play the 2 some, so you can run him off of screens and get him the ball in areas where he can be very effective. So I think that's really helped take his game to another level this year.
Opening weekend of Ivy League play, some pretty good victories for both Penn and Harvard. What did you take from the opening weekend?
Well, here's what I take away from this weekend. I think the Ivy League is very competitive from top to bottom. I think everyone would agree that Harvard right now is the class of the Ivy League, and it's going to be tough to keep the Crimson from repeating as league champions. Having said that, after Harvard, I think you can throw just about every team into the mix. Now, I understand Cornell has struggled. They might be the one team that you probably can't throw in that mix right now as a team that can finish in the upper half of the standings. Maybe they can, but they've dealt with some injuries and some unfortunate situations. But other than that, you look at the rest of the league and look at how this league has performed out of conference. Pretty darn good. Brown, Yale, Dartmouth. Princeton, I think, with losing the guys that they did, particularly Ian Hummer, nobody expected them to have the season they've had. Now, I know Penn struggled in the non-conference, but I told everybody, pay no attention to that. They played a very difficult non-conference schedule. I know Jerome Allen's got a lot of talent, a lot of athletes down there, and look what they do in their Ivy opener. They beat Princeton at the Palestra. So to me, after Harvard, you can throw just about every team in a hat, and it's really whoever plays best in league play will finish 2nd, 3rd, etc.
Scott, thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And please join us tomorrow as we'll preview the women's slate of games coming up this weekend. as we'll talk with Kevin Mooney, who is the Ivy League Digital Network correspondent for the Cornell Big Red. He'll join us from Ithaca, New York. Thanks again for joining us right here on the Ivy League Digital Network and Around the Ancient Eight.